Welcome all of you to Berkeley Haas, to beautiful Chu Hall, which actually was started with a gift from one of our undergraduates here at Haas named Kevin Chu. That's why it's called Chu Hall. Kevin Chu is a serial founder of a number of different gaming companies. He founded a company called Kabam. Right now, he's working on his third or fourth company called Forte, where he combines gaming and blockchain. And he's really young. I think he's under 40 years old. Just an incredible, really humble fellow. So you already heard a little bit about my background. I was a double major at Berkeley, an undergraduate here. I studied, first I started off as a history major, and somewhere halfway through that I realized I wasn't going to get a job. So I added economics, and then I went off and I got a job at Kaiser as a health economist. And I had so much fun working with data, I decided to go on and do a PhD. And one of my mentors here at Berkeley convinced me to apply to Princeton, which I never would have occurred to me in a million years. And they gave me a full scholarship. So I went off to Princeton for free. And I didn't really have nearly as good a time at Princeton as I had at Berkeley, I must tell you. So I'm also the parent of two students in college. Neither of which got into Berkeley, unfortunately. So congratulations to all of you. One of them's a student at UC Santa Barbara. She only applied to the UCs, and my older daughter's actually getting a master's in art history at Williams. So I've been in exactly the seat that you're in the last year or two, went off to UC Santa Barbara. I have been sitting there as a parent, so I understand exactly both how proud you are and how possibly anxious you are, but you have nothing to worry about. It's a wonderful place. So let me start out by congratulating you and your students for being part of Haas. We're really thrilled to have you all here. Your students, your children, are among the best and the brightest who have come not just to UC Berkeley, but to the Haas School of Business. And with that, I actually want to start a little slide presentation. So let me tell you a little bit about Haas. Berkeley Haas is the second oldest business school in the United States. It was founded in 1898, actually through a gift from a woman named Cora Jane Flood. The oldest business school, of course, is Wharton, where I was a professor for the last 7 years before coming here back to Berkeley, and that was founded in 1891. And I'll tell you, being a professor at Wharton was great, but being at Berkeley is so much nicer. So we have 2,700 students in 6 different degree programs. All our 6 degree programs are ranked at least in the top 7 in the world or in the US using the business school rankings. In terms of the undergraduate program, our undergraduate program is currently ranked number 3, behind Wharton, number 1, and M.I.T, number 2. We hope to get to number 2 or number 1. We're working on that. But as you can imagine, in that very top rank of very top schools, it's very, very competitive. We have over 41,000 alums in 96 countries, and those alums will help your children or yourselves, if you're a student in the room, throughout your life. I mean, I cannot tell you how many Cal grads, even from different programs through the years, who have helped me personally in my career. We have 74 tenure-track faculty, so we're actually a very small program compared to the other top schools. For example, Wharton had 250 tenure-track faculty. We're small, but we're mighty. We have 167 professional faculty, 2 Nobel Prize winners, so quite impressive. Let me tell you a little bit about our undergraduate program. So if you add up all the students who are juniors, seniors, freshmen, sophomores, there are 950 undergraduate students. In our core program, which is the juniors and seniors, we have 750. So we'll be graduating, we graduate about 400 a year. In addition to those who come in as juniors, which includes our transfer students, we have 140 in this so-called M.E.T program. The M.E.T program is a dual degree program that started in 2017. In 4 years, you will get a degree in business and one of 6 engineering majors. So, and if we have any parents of M.E.T students, welcome, welcome. Our third program is our global management program, which started a year ago. We take 30 students a year into that program as freshmen. They spend the fall of their freshman year studying in London. And then at the end of 4 years, they get a BS degree in business administration with a concentration in global management. So our program is relatively small on the Berkeley campus. This Haas undergraduate program is small, so it's very, I would say, very selective. So let's move to the next. So what about your students? What do they look like? What do the students look like? 29% of Haas students are pursuing simultaneous degrees or dual majors, and that number has increased over the years. Over the past 3 years due to M.E.T. And now I want to pause and give you a word of advice. So 3 weeks ago, my daughter at UC Santa Barbara texted me, because that's the only way which my kids actually communicate with me, a lot, but always texts. And she said, well, I'm thinking of doing a double major in this and this with a minor in that. And if I do that, I'm going to be killing myself for the next 3 years. She's a sophomore now. And my reaction was, why kill yourself? I mean, really, enjoy your life. You're going to do great. You don't have to double major if you don't want to. You don't even have to minor if you don't want to. And you're going to do great. So it's true that there is this trend towards doing more and more and more. But let me tell you, as the parent, I'm telling my children not to force themselves to do more and more and more. So if you're all here, you're already in a very demanding, very lucrative program. So, enjoy it. Don't push them too hard. That is my advice, which I probably shouldn't be giving you, but as a parent. So moving on, 95% of our students complete internships, which is really amazing. And 99% graduate in 2 years. And what I mean by that is that if they start off as juniors, then there's a 99% probability that they will actually finish in the next 2 years. So they're doing better than I did. It took me 5 years to finish my double major at Berkeley. And I must say, it is a very different experience. If you as parents were in a UC, as I was, as undergraduates X number of years ago, it's a very different experience today than it was when we were students here. We would show up and nobody did anything for us, right? We were on our own. Well, now it's incredible. Students are really taken care of. They have tours, they have a welcome week, they have counseling. They just have so much more than they had when we were students. And it was already amazing when we were students. So imagine how much greater it is now, right? So let me just say one last thing. This is very important. The average starting salary of our Haas grads is $82,000, and that ranges from a low of $43,000 to a high of $127,000. And payscale.com has ranked Haas as the #1 program for return on investment for undergraduate business students. This place is an incredible deal. I mean, it's just amazing. Okay, one of the things that really sets us apart as a business school is the focus on culture. And that culture is embodied through what we refer to as the defining leadership principles. And if you can't remember, there are 4 of them. If you can't remember what they are, they're actually in the concrete in the plaza, so you can just look down. They're also on our walls, okay? So they're very much part of this school, and I just think you should know about them. The first one is question the status quo. Always ask, why are things done this way? Why not do them that way? Or why not change this? The second one is confidence without attitude. I have spent a lot of my career teaching alternatively between Berkeley, Princeton, Harvard, Wharton. And the difference, I hope I won't offend anybody, but the difference in the Berkeley students in terms of being confident but not having the attitude is so dramatic relative to many of the other places I've taught. And this is a really important characteristic. This particular principle, the confidence without attitude, it didn't come from us, actually. It was the recruiters who suggested it. So when they see all these people come through, they really notice this confidence, but not the attitude. The third principle, students always. I was at one of our conferences this week in Pebble Beach. The real estate group puts on this amazing conference, and our speaker was Thomas Friedman, the columnist for the New York Times, and he thinks the absolute key is being a student always, that these days things are changing so fast that you have to constantly be learning. And then the fourth principle, which really resonates with many Berkeley students and Berkeley grads, is beyond yourself. And beyond yourself can range from all sorts of things. You know, Berkeley produces the most Peace Corps volunteers of any university in the country. But beyond yourself also means if you're sitting at Google or Facebook or Uber, what is it that I can do for my company, or what is it that my company can do for the community that's going to make a difference? It's very inspirational, and we really care about our culture a lot. So next slide. How are we funded? This is something that you should know. Things have changed a lot. In the 80s, state funding covered 50% of the university's budget, so that's when I was a student here. A decade ago, it covered 33% of Berkeley's budget. Today, only 14% of UC Berkeley's budget is actually covered by the state of California. That is because the state basically has kept its support for this university where it was essentially 40 years ago. And so as a result, philanthropy now accounts for more than twice as much funding as state support. And student tuition and fees account for half the cost of running our school. So we have a very different funding model than we did when I was a student here, for example. So this is my last slide, and then I will turn it to the others who will be speaking today. So basically, donations from alumni, parents, and friends really are important for closing the gap. And those gifts actually affect the students' experiences directly in a way that probably less than, I was a graduate student at Princeton, and an additional $1 of support at Princeton, they just have so much money, let's be honest. It doesn't have the same impact that it has here. And I just want to give you some examples of what we have done with private support. Every building on the Haas campus, including this one that we're in and including all the other buildings, that were all entirely funded through private donations and private support with no state or public support. And this building is amazing. Chu Hall, we're so proud of it. It's a zero waste building. No waste comes out of this building. It is the greenest academic building in America. I happen to also think it's probably the most beautiful academic building in America. In addition to these rather large gifts, we also rely a lot on smaller gifts, and that allows us to support programs that the rest of campus doesn't necessarily have. So one of the things that you will benefit from, you and your students' children will benefit from, is we have a dedicated undergraduate career counselor who will be speaking with you. And that counselor who helps Haas students find really great jobs, that person is funded entirely by Haas using donor funds. We also use donations to retain our star faculty. We have amazing faculty. So despite all the changes in California, we have managed to retain the very best faculty in the world. Charitable gifts also help create a seed fund. The seed fund is for student entrepreneurs, student competitions, so that's been helpful. We also use donations to support a summer program for our community college transfer students. How many here are transfer students coming from a community college, either students or parents? Congratulations. It is really, we only accept 6% of our transfer students who apply. So that is harder to get into than a Princeton or a Columbia. These students, they come in, they are wonderful, and we have these programs to help them make a smooth transition. So I encourage you to think about setting an example for your children and help us build a culture of philanthropy. A student is twice as likely to make a donation if their parents are supporting the school. And we really invite you to participate because I really believe that Berkeley is one of society's most important assets. And let me just give you one of my favorite. Today, actually these days, it's my absolute favorite number. So there are some professors at Berkeley and Stanford who teamed up to create something called a social mobility report card. And the social mobility report card measures how much every university in the United States is successful as moving you from the bottom 20% of the income distribution to the top 1%. And if you rank every university in the United States that way, Berkeley came out #1. And I am just so happy about that. So I'm being asked to wrap up. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. Your children are in really good hands, and we're really delighted to welcome you to this community. And now I'm going to turn things over to Lisa, who will introduce our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Anne. It is now my pleasure to introduce Erika Walker, Assistant Dean of the Berkeley Haas Undergraduate Program. Erika has been at Haas for about 15 years, is that right? And she leads an incredible team of staff members who oversee our undergraduate programs here at Haas. So please join me in welcoming Erika.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, I can see all of your lovely faces from here. Welcome. I am really pleased to be able to see your faces. I get to see your students, and if I don't see them regularly, that's actually a good sign. That means they're out there doing all the things they should be doing here on campus. Just a little bit about myself. So I am also a Cal alum. Go Bears. I graduated and majored actually in American Studies, and at the time it was a brand new major that you could kind of design your area of emphasis, and so I did that in health and education. First generation college student, and so I resonate a lot with what Dean Harrison said about social mobility and how education is still very much a vehicle for social mobility. As the #1 public institution, you know, students are coming here and they're going to get an experience that really teaches through a different lens. And this Berkeley lens really does connect very strongly with our defining leadership principles. But at the same time, I've heard students say often that, you know, when they describe their Berkeley Haas experience, they describe it as a private school experience in a public institution. And I think that says a lot. I think it says a lot to what we're able to accomplish with the resources that we have in terms of being able to try and provide to the best of our ability a small community experience where they're able to get access to the resources that they need so that they can be successful. That's the goal. We want to be able to provide them the support that they need so that they can independently really identify what it is that they'd like to do and be able to kind of make their way towards doing that. So I have the benefit and pleasure of having a great team of staff who work very closely with the students and are watching the students, and that's why we're able to get them out in 2 years once they get into their junior year. We're watching what they're taking every semester, we're looking at the schedule, we're calling them in. You know, if something's not right, we're going to let you know about it. If you've enrolled in something, and to the students' dismay, for those of you who are in the room, you may, experience that you enroll in something, nope, we got to change that, right? So there's a reason for it. We want to make sure that we can set you up for success. And we've got the experience of seeing, how that actually transpires. And so part of the student experience is that they are really actively involved in a variety of different things. We have over 20 clubs that are student-run that we support. We also have a variety of different opportunities for students to tap into. I would say largely the students are interested in experiential learning. They want to be able to get their hands right in it. And so one of the things I've had the pleasure of just coming back from, I coach students to participate in international case competitions. And so we just got back from Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, where we were hosted by Thammasat University, 20 schools from all over the country, business students, teams of 4, and they receive a case and they have to try and come up with a solution, a slide deck, and prepare a 20-minute presentation in front of a panel of judges. And when I tell you to witness the students in action, it is the most remarkable thing and a moment of pride that I have as a Cal alum, but also as the Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Programs. Our team placed in the Final 4. And that is not an easy thing to do. And so I'm so excited because we take a team of students who've never participated in case competitions before, and they very often place in the top. And to have other coaches from other universities really kind of acknowledge how well they did is fantastic. And so anyway, these are the kinds of experiences that your students may have and can really tap into. And so we're just excited to witness them kind of flourish. And before you know it, we'll be at graduation and we'll see you again. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting your students, and thank you very much for kind of being part of that Cal family. Just really quickly, are there any Cal alums in the audience? All right, go Bears. That's got to be a good feeling. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Erika. Now I would like to introduce Dawn Kramer, Program Manager for our Business and Engineering Dual Degree Program, M.E.T. Just a quick show of hands, how many families of M.E.T. students do we have in the audience? Okay, great. So we have a handful. Excellent. Well, we're going to hear a little bit about the program from Dawn, so please join me in welcoming Dawn Kramer.
Thank you, Lisa. As Dean Harrison mentioned, M.E.T. was launched 3 years ago by myself and a heavy-hitting leadership team of deans, faculty, and staff from the Haas School of Business and Berkeley Engineering. In our first year, we enrolled 40 students and offered 2 simultaneous degree paths. Since then, our program has grown to 140 students, and beginning with fall 2020, we will offer a total of 6 degree tracks, all of which are business majors, plus bioengineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering and computer science, industrial engineering and operations research, material science engineering, or mechanical engineering. And for those who can't decide, this year we will offer an opportunity to come in as an undeclared engineering major. The goal of our program is to build a customized co-curricular experience with a robust support system and network throughout our students' undergraduate career. We aim to increase their self-awareness of their skills, values, and interests, as well as their occupational awareness by engaging in internships and self-exploration through exploring career options through research and more. We do this so that they'll be better equipped to make sound career-based decisions. And to accomplish these goals, we host events and programming centered on community building, professional development, employer engagement, faculty integration, and wellness practices. And to build community, this year, the M.E.T. Student Board organized their first ever weekend retreat. More than 60 students went to Tahoe and had a great time and made lasting memories. They also facilitate a Big Little program and host weekly social events to connect with each other outside the classroom. We put a strong emphasis on professional development in our program. Every semester, we host fireside chats with industry leaders and C-suite executives, such as Julia Hartz, the CEO of Eventbrite. We also have office hours with M.E.T. advisory board members, industry partners, and alumni who make themselves available to mentor and support our students. We also facilitate unique programs and opportunities for learning, such as a recent product manager simulation, which was an interactive program designed to demonstrate the responsibilities of being a PM through a hands-on project development and launch simulation. As to many students, employer engagement is very important to M.E.T. students. Each month, they're invited to connect with recruiters and employers at our company meet and greet events, and they're taking full advantage of those opportunities. Last summer, 80% of the M.E.T. students who are freshmen and sophomores had internships at companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and more. They also took the summer to study abroad, take classes, conduct research, or pursue entrepreneurial endeavors. We also strive to open the communication lines between faculty and students. And this semester, we launched faculty lunch and learn programs where faculty came and talked about their research and answered questions in small group settings. This was very popular, and we'll continue to do it the following semesters. And finally, we consistently promote wellness practices. Just this week, we hosted a study break on meal prep and planning when you're on a budget and have limited time. I'd like to say the content was the biggest driver, but I think it was actually the free healthy snacks that were provided. So when we embarked on this journey 3 years ago, we knew M.E.T. would enroll very bright students for Berkeley Haas in engineering. But we didn't know how truly amazing they would actually be. So we're really excited for our first class to graduate in 2021. And if you'd like to find out more about our program, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and visit our website. Thanks.
Thank you, Dawn. I'd like to introduce our final speaker, Karen Lin. Karen is our Haas Career Advisor working through the UC Berkeley Career Center. So please join me in welcoming Karen Lin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen. I'm so glad to be here today. I didn't attend Cal, but I went to another very fantastic public university in the Midwest, which is University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Before that, I spent 8 years in China doing business school admission consulting. That's pretty much my background. So together with my colleague, David Woodward, we are the Haas career counseling team back in the career center, which is down the hill. I often try to promote the location to students, saying we have a fantastic boba place downstairs. But I realized I didn't have to advertise like that. Students engage with us a lot. So at the Career Center, we have a 3C dedication, which is career clarity. We help students figure out which career path they want to go. And also we enhance students' competitiveness. We help them improve their writing materials and also interviews, speaking skills. We also have events to help them expand their professional network, engage with alumni and employer. So with that, what we do is, for sure, in person, we have one-on-one counseling meetings. We also held a lot of career fairs, workshops, networking events for them to increase their competitiveness. We also understand our students are Gen Z. They are born with the internet. So we want to make sure they have 24/7 access to service. So we offer a lot of virtual services, such as job board, mock interview prep, and also we have YouTube video library. Every week, I myself would write articles, send out newsletters to students. I like to jokingly saying that I have a second job, which is a best-selling author. And students, around 3,000 students are subscribed to the career newsletter. They got timely information every week. We also have Berkeley Career Network, basically LinkedIn for college students, for them to connect with insiders to get informational call. So our efforts paid off. As Dean Harrison just mentioned, our career outcome for the class of 2019 is phenomenal. So the starting salary, the average is $82,000 and ranging from 43 to 127. As you also noticed, Haas students also having a spontaneous degree. The highest number goes to a high-tech company working in software engineering position. So as you can see, a lot of them are going right after college to industry instead of going to grad school. And for those going to grad school, a lot of them are pursuing law degree or other business degree. Here we saw our top employers. Employers love to engage with us. I also did a lot of employer and alumni visit to promote our program and also develop new opportunity. So our top employers are mostly what we call ABC, which is accounting, banking, and consulting. But also you can realize that tech is a growing sector, that we are having more and more students getting into high-tech companies like Google, Apple, and Amazon. So with that, job market is great, and our students are getting fantastic jobs. I can't wait to see what the future market lies for us. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. And my thanks to all of our speakers. Now, we'd like to invite all four of our speakers up on stage as we get ready for our Q&A portion. We have about 15 minutes for your questions. We have 2 microphones on either side of the room. So if you'd like to ask a question, please go ahead and stand up and make your way to one of the 2 microphones, and you can form a line there. And I will call on folks, on each person wishing to ask a question. Please note that our session is being recorded, and so if you can be sure to state your question in the microphone, that will enable it to be captured for our recording. Okay, yes, please, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Richard Chang from Boston with my daughter Kayla. And thank you very much. And I really feel like I'm leaving my daughter in good hands. So it's appreciate it. My question is simply, based on your extensive experience, what might be your suggestion for, I guess, what my daughter in junior year and our fellow children, what might they be pursuing or thinking about beyond just the technical, procedural stuff at school? And I think Dean Harris alluded to some of that, but I just wonder, just like if you could give your advice, like what should they get out of Berkeley Haas by the time they leave? Thank you.
I'll take a stab at that question. So by the time they get into their junior year, they've kind of settled through general, ed requirements and prerequisites and things like that. And so junior and senior year is where they get to start getting into the meat of their major. And so they're taking core classes, they're taking their elective classes. As they take those electives, they start getting exposed to different ideas. And those ideas often lead them to different clubs, different student experiences, different opportunities, resources that come their way. So now they're starting to really be more particular about what they want to do. If they don't know that, at that point, then junior year is still a time of discovery. So they start going to different talks, going to different club events. A lot of the clubs are doing professional activities and hosting workshops and things like that. And so it begins to help narrow in on what they might be interested in. Also in junior year, students are very actively engaged with the Career Center. And so that's the time to start thinking about internships. If they haven't already, most of the students have had an internship, but generally the internship of junior year is what leads to their full-time job offer. And so a lot of students are going to be focused on the recruitment process in their junior year.
Yes, hi, Sophie.
Hi, my name is Sophie Kim, and I graduated from Haas undergrad back in the 80s, and things were a little different then. So I have some questions regarding career advisory. So I wanted to ask about, well, first, before when I was going to school here, we shared the same career center as the graduate students, but apparently that is not the case anymore. However, we have a dedicated career advisor for the undergraduates, correct? So where do the students go for, the undergraduate students go for career counseling? Where's the office?
My office is down the hill at the Career Center, right across the street of the MLK Student Union.
So that's where everybody, all the other students go, right?
Yeah, but I also have appointment time here in this at Haas. I would come here at least twice a week.
Okay, and how much assistance do they get for the summer internships? And when should they start?
So the summer internship recruiting actually now happens a lot during the summer. So what my colleague and I have been doing is reaching out to students when they just get admitted by Haas. So we would send them information regarding the timeline and how to get prepared, how to get started with their application materials back in the summer. And then when they start their junior year on campus, they would be seeing us one-on-one for critiquing their resume, preparing for their mock interview, and also they would attend information sessions and also alumni networking events to increase their competitiveness. And by the end of, actually right now it's the season for harvest. I was here on campus yesterday, and a lot of students come to share with me they got internship offers already at this time of the year. And a majority of them would get it by the end of December, and some of them do get internship during the spring semester. That's pretty much the timeline.
So I understand that in certain fields like computer science, my son did computer science, and their job offers get so, like very early on in the fall. And then I understand certain financial services positions, accounting, they recruit early as well. Do you have a sense for product marketing, what their timeline is?
Yeah, so investment banking in particular recruits during the summer, and then accounting and consulting pretty much start in September. With tech industry, they normally do it a little bit later, which refers to what I said, a lot of students who are going to tech may get their internship offer in the spring.
But product marketing is
product marketing. This is also a very smaller sector of the job market, and they did not come in a certain timeline, but they are all over the year. So I would like to work with students to get clarity of what particular companies they're interested in, and I would say between right now and all the way to April, maybe the season, they need to be actively applying.
Great. Thank you, Sophie.
Okay, and just one more. So the resumes that these students have, are they encouraged to have a certain format like we used to have? Because my daughter has she has a different resume, and I'm just wondering, when I was going to school, I also have an MBA from Northwestern, and there was it was pretty much the same format.
Resume book, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is that what's encouraged?
So we do have some template for students to as reference, but we would like to work with students one-on-one to decide what content should be prioritized. So.
But the format is consistent.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question.
Good morning. I was wondering if you could compare and contrast the undergraduate program in business with the graduate program. What are the focus and emphasis of each program?
That's a great question. I know that the students that I've interacted with, I'll just jump in. The students that I've interacted with say that they feel like the undergrad program here is kind of like a mini MBA. And many, some go on to get a graduate degree in business, but many don't feel the need to because they have such a great career just from their undergrad program. But do any of the panelists have?
Yeah, I can just add that, a lot of the faculty that teach in our graduate programs also teach in the undergraduate program. And so that's part of the reason why students feel that way. They feel that they have access to the same faculty that are teaching at the graduate level. And often those faculty are using the same textbooks that they're using at the graduate level. The courses are very similar, but I would say part of the difference is with the undergraduate program, we're still very much a liberal arts-based program, and so we require students to take courses outside of the business school. We want them taking courses in humanities. We want them exploring and still discovering, and we want them to be out within the university and not as kind of closed in this bubble that the MBA students have. So they're kind of course sequenced. They're taking all their classes together. They're primarily taking business courses, whereas for the undergrads, it's slightly different and a little bit more expanded.
Thank you.
And a follow-on question, of those that do the undergraduate program in business in this day and age, how necessary, how common is it that they would go on and get a graduate degree in business?
Is that just quickly to answer that question, many students, their immediate goal is to work. And a lot of the graduate programs across the nation now require some work experience before they go back. And so it just depends on which industry they go into. We don't often see the students when they come back to know whether or not they're going into the graduate programs right away, but we do know that many of them go, especially if their companies actually help sponsor them to go back to graduate school. But we know that a lot of students will either go back for a law degree or for an MBA.
So we're going to take this question right here and then over to the pink shirt, and then we'll go back and forth. And this may be all the time that we have for questions at this point is these four. So yes, there.
Hi. My question is about studying abroad. My daughter is going to be studying abroad in the spring semester, and that's always been her goal, and we've encouraged her to do that. I'm just curious, is one at a disadvantage in terms of recruitment if they choose to study abroad?
I can start with, you mentioned disadvantage. Actually, right now, a lot of companies that are moving to virtual recruiting. A lot of info sessions, interviews are due through Zoom meetings. So I think as long as they get the application ready by their deadlines, I don't think there is a disadvantage in terms of recruiting. And also when they are applying to global companies, they may actually request an interview with the company's local office, such as in London, Singapore.
Great, thank you. Okay, over here on this side.
Good morning. My name is Venu Piska and I'm from Chicago. I have my son Nikhil here. So I have a curriculum question also. With this undergraduate program designed in like last 4 semesters, is the four semester period, is that adequate to cover all the core classes along with the electives for the student to come back and be competitive in the real world? That's part one. The second question is the $82K average salary that your students are graduating from, what geographical area are they working in? Do you have some data on that?
So I'll take the first question around curriculum and whether or not students are able to adequately complete all of the degree requirements in 4 semesters, and yes. So we have 10 core classes, and then students have an option to choose their electives, and students can customize their electives based on their areas of interest, and so that's why they're able to really kind of market themselves based on what they want. It's a general management degree, so we want to make sure that they get those 10 core classes done. We offer our core classes every semester as a result. We want to make sure that the students are able to complete. And most students, I would say, complete it in 3 semesters, and they have their 4th semester to really pursue simultaneous degrees or to consider other courses outside of the business school.
And regarding the career outcome, we are actually preparing for the full employment report, which will be published in our Career Center website. So the data roughly is around 1/3 in consulting, 1/3 in banking, and the rest of the employment lays in different sectors of the business. So you can see all those details maybe in a month or so.
He was also asking about the geographic, where they go.
Oh, so as you know, students enjoy living in California. So we also try to encourage students to pursue out-of-state opportunity. But as you can imagine, right now, the Bay Area, the economy is going really, really good. So a lot of them would stay, I would say around 85% are staying in California.
Okay, thank you. Yes, next question over here.
Yes, hello. I address my question to anyone up there, and it has to do with student housing. Does Haas do anything to help the students move from one year to the next year? The reason I ask that is because we have a student here, 2 students at Cal, and every year it's much more complicated to find a place to live, and each year it's more expensive. And now we are at a certain point in our lives where my daughter's rent is more than my mortgage. So I'm wondering, what is Haas? Does Haas do anything? Like, for example, the law school has their student housing. Is there anything Haas is going to do in the future or can do shortly thereafter?
I don't know if we have plans in the future for housing, but we do rely on the university housing that is completely separate from Haas. And generally, the students, by the time they are in their junior year, they're living off campus, and yes, the rent tends to be very high, and so many students are finding roommates in their first couple of years, and when they get to Haas and they start taking classes together, they often will also try and find a house and room together, but we don't have...
Does Haas sponsor any type, like a board or anything, some type of infrastructure that helps them look for these available off-campus housing or anything like that?
Nothing specific,
Okay.
no.
All right, thank you.
I will say that the Chancellor, Carol Christ, student housing is one of the pillars of our upcoming campaign, our comprehensive campaign to fund priorities at the university. I don't know, Anne, if you have any more details about that.
Yes, the chancellor and all of us recognize that housing is a really big challenge at Berkeley. There's no question. And so as far this campaign that the chancellor is launching will address housing needs, but obviously not quickly enough for your students. But it is a challenge. And she's very dynamic. We have an amazing chancellor, and she plans to make significant strides, but it will take time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you to all of our panelists. Can we please give them a final round of applause?